as you know, the sitting president camp has billionaires who are local and self-made. That's what I've been told, and also ever present with their kind gestures. They are always coming up and popping up at the right time to some people who are needing a lot of help. I've been told that the Tagwire guy is always coming up to help businesses when they are failing. There's one reporter who specializes on him, and I'm going to be bringing him up there. Then at the very same time, the kind gestures of Wicknell, which carries the latest that he gave to the deterrents, and the cash that has been given to the two, all has been noted, and that has been told to me. Just said to double check her, because I'm not always running behind what's happening. I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping engaged, since I have become a point of contact or a conduit for the two factions, where we're trying to make sure that things work together. I'm told that Tagwire has bailed quite a number of businesses when they were actually in the moment of failure. He's also the person who sits or holds the pipeline for the fuel system of Zimbabwe. What is it that is left for him to have when he has got almost everything? It is the presidential position. Wait and hear what I have been told. But before I go any further, so that you know that I'm still very neutral, I just had a look at the presentation that he was doing in Shirezi. Three things that he's still lacking. Number one, he's still lacking the charisma of a leader. Number two, he's still lacking the confidence of a leader. What I've seen, I've then been going to see the other links of what he has presented. I saw him within the church that he goes to, which is the Seventh-day Adventist, where he was doing sort of like business meetings. He still needs to learn. Everyone has to learn. The money he has got, but the charisma still lacks. And maybe the minute he has that, he will show the right character of a leader before we start to see all the monies. We know the money is got, but in leadership, you need this charisma. I'll give a good example. The sitting president, Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, yes, charisma. When people saw that he didn't have that charisma to match the young guy Nelson Chamisa, they raised Prophet Passion, so that he goes head to head with Chamisa. Why? Because they were buying into the charisma of Passion to match and neutralize the charisma of Chamisa. That's easy. That's how politics is played, and that's how politics is balanced. They avoided Chamisa to have head on with the sitting president. My age Chamisa would say, Mukomongo eskafu. He's very charismatic. You cannot take that away from him. He's very charismatic. He has been a pastor in a Pentecostal church. So obvious charisma is part of the drive when you're ministering, and he has got it. The young guy can just flow. He can drive people through the way he speaks. So let's move on from that. The Chiwenga faction initially had the majority of the ZDF. From what I was told, they had the majority of the ZDF backing. I want you to pay attention to this. When this fight started, I am told that the Chiwenga faction had a majority of the ZDF backing. I'm told that it was amounting close to 75%. Why 75%? I'm told he had about 20 to 30% of his own faithful. The others who were on a neutral basis, not knowing which function to go to, they got to his side. But what's happened now, time is of essence when you're doing whatever you're doing. He has since lost momentum. And in this Go game, he has lost quite some vital people in the process. That young guy, Nyokaye Mabunu, had become so vocal and so much of a drive, which I am told has become the biggest shortfall of this rivalry group, because the young guy Nyokaye Mabunu was driving the course to whatever they wanted. But this is what shocked me when it was being explained to me. Because the young guy has been taken off the scene, it means to say Geza was now needed to be addressing people every day. But the way the military style from their side of advice works, you don't need to be in the faces of people on daily basis. But now there's a big vacuum because there's nobody to keep the people informed entertained and engaged. That's why that Nyoka Mabunu is in serious trouble and never to be let out easily, if you get what I'm saying right now. But now listen to this. Having lost him, it means to say their drive fell. At the very same time, the followers started to doubt, and the train seemed to be coming to a halt, and questions are starting to be asked. Why is the general now needing everyone here to support him? It was good when the Nyokayama Bunu was there. That's why I said he was an integral member. It was very important when he was there. Now we move to the point where Comrade Bombshell Geza was now coming here and there, because you'll be told when he was going to come through his mouthpiece. So if people say, did Geza or the faction of M31 knew about Nyokayama Bunu, they knew about him. But now seeing the vulnerability within their group, that the young guy was taken off the scene, they are also starting to fear for their life. But remember, what they were trying to push for, if it's not accomplished, it's graded as treason. Meaning to say, Comrade Bombshell Geza will be a very much wanted person in Zimbabwe by the Zimbabwean government. So it will be transcended up to become a government-to-government national issue, where a request of him to be released to the authorities of Zimbabwe can now be activated. So it's no longer as peaceful as you think, but it's now as dirty as you do not want to assume. So what is he going to do? I'll be explaining to you what needs to be done, who needs to be where, and who needs to be engaged. Right. Now, the other thing that I've been told about that camp is, when they started this, they had Nelson Chamisa engaged with them on their side. But no concrete promises had been given to the young guy, Advocate Chamisa. They knew definitely that while we are fighting the sitting president's camp, what we have is power which Chamisa does not have. And I said in question, how much percentage of power do you think Chamisa had in regards to all this? I was told it can only amount at most to 5%. Sorry to say, but that's what I was told. I'm just relaying what I was told when I was asking questions. I was told that the power of Nelson Chamisa in politics with the current position is only 5%. But the power of the sitting president, because he has got systems engaged, his power, I'm told, is 60%. Which, if you add the two, is 65. Meaning to say the VP now remains with the remaining 35%. But how was this to be shifted? This was going to be shifted when if public was going to be mobilized by Chamisa, because he has got the masses which the VP does not have. But because of the outspokenness of Nyokayama Bunu, they thought then they no longer have got anything to do with Nelson Chamisa. Rather than him coming at a bargain price, they would rather just cover that by a person who's not demanding for nothing in Nyokayama Bunu to mobilize the people. I was told that some of the WhatsApp groups had amounted to almost 265,000, getting on to almost 300,000. Right now, I'm told that another group has been formed. They are following all these groups. I'm told that another group has been formed and is now reaching almost close to 100,000. That's in the absence of the person of Nyokayama Bunu himself. So basically, you can see how much of an influence this guy had become. From the sitting president's camp, they will say how much of a nuisance he has become, from what I was told by the politician I was talking to. I'm like, oh, really? So this young guy had gained momentum to drive. So his drive is the one that had actually made the VP, the M31 movement, to think that they cannot have anything much to do with the bargains of Nelson Chamisa in this drive to oust the sitting president. In eliminating Chamisa, that's when they realize they have lost the person. So to try and engage him back, that's what's costing them. Because he has seen the true colors of the comrades that he was dealing with. Can you see how interesting it's becoming now? So that's why there's now twists and turns. Twists and turns. I'm like, really? Politics is a dirty game. Politics is a dirty game. Now, if they are that much engaged with Nyoka Mabunu, or if they were that much engaged with Nyoka Mabunu, how come Nyoka Mabunu is failing to get equivalent of just 2,000 US to pay for his solicitors? They are running around to try and raise funds for the lawyers to be paid. Right now, I'm speaking to some people from that camp. I'm told that the solicitors that are representing Nyoka Mabunu are not fully paid. They are owed just about a 2,000 US figure. And yet this person had more than 200, close to 300,000 people on his WhatsApp group. If every person is to contribute just $1, okay, $1 could be too much for everyone. 50 pence, no, 50 pence could be just too much for everyone. 10 cents per person, you will have more than enough money to pay for that young man's solicitors and still remain with excess. But nobody is willing to put their penny together in support of that. That's exactly what shows you how people react. They just want to put you on the front, clap hands for you, get you in trouble. When you're in it by yourself. We are not there. They look for the next character to play a funny part to be acting. The minute you step up, they clap hands on you again. The minute you get in trouble, they leave you, dump you, and look for the next person. This is all being noted. So if you see me being given that report, it means to say you were not very supportive of the young guy. He's not in simple trouble. He's in serious trouble. He's in serious trouble. If he's expatriated to Zimbabwe, they will make a sandwich of him. I'm telling you, they will roast him into pieces. Because don't forget how outspoken he was. So knowing and seeing all of this now, why are the people that you are speaking for not aiding or simply paying for those fees or assisting him? The system, from what I'm told, is now infiltrated with the intelligence people of Zimbabwe. They are watching to see who's putting hands in support of that young guy, and at the very same time, who's doing the running around and who's doing the rounds, which leaves everyone to be suspicious of anyone that comes close. They say in courts, as much as there's people getting there in numbers, nobody seems to know who is who. All you get to hear is people speaking Shona. Then you know that they are from Zimbabwe. Others speaking Ndebele, then you know straight away they are from Zimbabwe. That's all you can. That's how you can only identify those people. So that's the M31 faction. The Chamisa faction, I'm told it's got masses. As much as he said he's stepped out of politics for now, he still commands a very strong following, and that should be respected. But his backing has suffered the effects of failing to tap. His backing has suffered a lot because he failed in the trap of the financiers. When the party went for elections and were running for elections, I have been told to ask a question, which I'm going to ask very open here, so that it not be my statement, but the statement that he needs to answer to his people, rather than to continue to be quiet. Because every time we talk about him, we become victims of attack from people. But this is the question that I've been told to ask to the people. Question: during the campaign, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, were you or never financed by Kuda Tagwire? If you were, it means to say you cannot compete anymore in the presidential running, because you cannot step on the ground to compete against your former financer. Remember, Kuda Tagwire is being touted to be the next person to sit and lead the party of Zanu PF. So you cannot come back into play again. So tweets, you can tweet. Tweets, you can tweet. People can ask questions. People can rebuke, condemn whatever is being said. But this is what I have been told. Has he not been before your financer in private? This is the dangers of getting money in private. And I was asked, if he did, why then are people condemning the person of Sengezo Shabangu for being given money when he was also being given money? So basically, they say opposition is a part in poverty. That's just waiting for handouts. So the problem we have is not opposition, but the problem we have cannot be solved by opposition. They are claiming that the problems we have can only be solved within the Zanu PF system. Which brings me back to what I was telling you. That Jonathan Moyo said, the only time you can break ZANU-PF is from within. And the only time you can build ZANU-PF is from within, not from outside. In case you didn't know, I was told, regardless of what's happening, Zimbabwe is a one-party state. Can I accept that? Can I believe that? Can I take it with a pinch of salt? But if I put my dose together, it's adding to the same thing. What I was told is, you might refuse that Zimbabwe is a one-party state. The only difference within the system is that the structure of the governance is where the difference is coming from. Their difference is only emanating from the type of governance. I was told that the sitting president is having a vision of a nation that is run like China. Vision of a nation that is run like Japan. That's the vision that he carries. That there's got to be like a trail of leadership coming from within one side of a place. It might not sit down well with you, it's just facts I'm giving you. While there's the people outside, some might be wanting for democracy. They say, people who are leading, thinking they'll bring democracy, are people that are looking for handouts. They say Shabangu has been given handouts. He has accepted and is pushing for that drive. They said Monzore tried to come on the scene, tried to engage so that he also just fits in the system. They say Chamisa was given finances by the person who's now aspiring to be the president of Zimbabwe. So what does it tell you? I'll explain more in detail. Let me go to my facts. Number 4, we've got the army, which has done a remarkable job by standing as independent entity and became a formidable player in the position of politics in Zimbabwe. They have agreed and decided not to be party affiliated, but to be a government affiliation. I said it and it confused some other people. I said the military had agreed that they're not going to appear at any ZANU-PF rallies. It still stands to be true what I said. But you can see them when there is governmental issues. Why? Because the president is the chief army commander. Wherever he goes, the army goes with him. But if it's anything to do with just party as a ZANU party, let's say they're going to the farm there, the president's farm, to discuss issues to do with ZANU-PF, like they always do, you will not see any member of the army there because it's a ZANU-PF party agenda. The army is not inclined for that. But if they are to do with national issues, where the two are always engaged, the opposition, which is headed by Shabangu, standing up with the one that is headed by the sitting president, His Excellency Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the army can be present because it's a national issue. So don't get these two twisted. Government and party are two different things. I hope I corrected some people that were trying to correct what they didn't hear. I'm just a source, by the way, not an object for attack. Right. Let's break it down now what I was told. The reigning president's camp momentum is struck. Why? They say the reigning president's camp is stuck and struck at the very same time, if not slowed down. Because while they were planning for what they were planning, they were also having the military support in everything that they were doing. But now the military has decided to stand independent of political parties. It means to say when it's everything to do with ZANU-PF, the military are no longer involved. They will only stand up or show up when it's everything to do with national. This then pushed the ZANU-PF, headed by the president himself, to re-strategize and apply some fallback options. The sitting president's camp is full of strategies to neck the enemy in their, to neck and mark the enemy in their cow formation, where they will try and close down the enemy to make sure that they suffocate. Right. Tagwire, if you look at it, he is now quickly on option 2, because they were running on option 1 until the army withdrew. Now they've activated option 2, where Tagwire is quickly been activated onto the scene, and you saw him in Chiredze now addressing. Like I said, I didn't see charisma in him. At the very same time, not only charisma, I didn't see eloquence. At the very same time, I didn't see him being a person who had prepared his speech. He was using notes like I'm doing. Once you see somebody using notes, it means to say they are not so confident about what they are driving, or maybe he still has got what you call stage fright. So I can invite him to be a guest preacher in church so that he learns how to be charismatic. You know, as Pentecostal pastors, we are very charismatic. We stand in front, we know how to drive the word, and we know how to say things the way that will engage with people. You need that in politics, Mr. Tagwire. But as of now, if I'm to judge your presentation from what you did, me just being me and honest me, I'll give you a 2 out of 10. It means to say it wasn't driven properly, although your message was being heard. Here what he was talking about, he said, we are being empowered, or we are being encouraged by the president to make sure that we build our own army. The word army appeared in his statement. It was not just a word in passing. It was a word in reference. We hear different things and we analyze things differently. So which kind of army is he talking about? Is he talking about ourselves being an army? Because he said, engaging army from outside always comes at a cost. And it is favorable, if not best, for us to build our own army. And the president has given us the license to build wealth. Everyone knows that is wealth. Everyone knows that is a billionaire. No one can argue with that. But how is this army going to be built? Questions will come. Are they now going to buy the current army, which is actually retracted? Are they now trying to bargain with the army that said we now want to be neutral? If you flip the coin over and ask other questions, the retraction of army, was it a tactical movement in option 2 of the sitting president to make sure that even the opposing people from the M31 movement, if they are drawn away from, they will think or feel that the army withdrew from both parties. So let's deal with it. Don't forget, and I reiterate, don't forget, for people like Comrade Bombshell Geza to go out there, they had the assurance of the army. And now the army is saying we are now taking a neutral position. Where does it leave the M31 movement and the touting of VP as their expected candidate? It gets dirtier than expected. Right. He says we need to make money, and we need to create our own army. Army is being created, understood, but which army? Is it the Zimbabwe National Army, the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, which I once said to people is called joke? Or he's talking about creating an army of business people who know how to defend the territory, and by creating jobs, businesses, industry up and running, because once you do that, you're also an army in the financial sector. So that word is a vague word, and what it means leaves a lot of people confused, if not disturbed. Remember, we also had a minister who went to the hospital, Raleigh Hospital, and he taunted the president openly on social media and say, I've been to the hospital and was not very happy with the situation within the hospitals. Something that was always being written about or complained about or taunted about by people on social media. Do you think the word wasn't getting to the president then? Or it only waited for the minister to say it out? Do you think when he said it, was it simply coincidence that he said it when the president was in Russia heading to Belarus, where he was going to sign a contract for the upgrading of the hospitals in Zimbabwe? Was it a strategic plan? Was it a smart political move to say, whatever you have said, we have heard, now we are responding? This 2030 project, what is pegged in it? Let me unpack it for you. And whilst you're listening to this, let me tell you something. This coming week, it's not yet announced, but this coming week, Trababula's interchange is going to be commissioned by His Excellency, the President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. I've been given a video of it. You know, when people are sending videos on social media, they always want to look for the bad things. But when I look at it, I would want to say it's 95% finished. Hear me? It's 95% finished. And I saw what I thought was very good images. I don't know whether they gave me those good images and videos for me just to praise them or drive their narrative or use me as their spokesperson because they know this is now sort of like the channel of truth. Listen to this. I've got the videos and I'm attaching them to this one, to this presentation. You will appreciate some of the job that has been done. Don't talk to me about the costing. That's not what I'm displaying here. I'm displaying the end product of the project. So this coming week, the president is going to be opening up the Travelers interchange, formerly known as Mbudzi. We still have got time to adjust to call it Travelers because we grew up all our entire life knowing that that one is called the Mbudzi roundabout. It's just like the challenge we're facing in Britain. Everyone talks about the Queen who's late because all our lives we grew up knowing the Queen, which made it a challenge for people to start to know that even when you're singing in the name of the King, not the Queen. Nevertheless, this is what I have. So where are we heading from here? The withdrawal of the military. Who has gained and who has lost? Was it a tactical move or was it a genuine move? What's on from here? Because all of a sudden, the military has become the talk and the defining factor once again for the position. Now with the military withdrawing, the percentages, instead of them being more on the M31 movement and less on the sitting president, as was at the initial point, it seems as if the demography has shifted. Now it's the other way around because the backing that was touted to be more for the M31 movement was the military, who have now decided to be neutral. If military comprised of 60%, let's assume, and whoever was touting them and have building confidence in them for support has seen them pull away, it's like you have lost a big chunk. Meaning to say, now some people are re-strategizing and realigning, while these other people are trying to find how to cover the void. But there was a question that I was asked. And I said, I'm not here to comment. I'm not the one to be interviewed. Instead, I'm the one who's listening to what you are telling me. I'm not even interviewing you. The information you give is the information I portray to the general public. He said, how many people have you seen being lost who were very close to the VP and he never opened his mouth in defense of them? Only for Comrade Geza to come public and start to mention that people were being killed by the sitting president, the generals dying like chickens, and yet another general was there watching. And they said, but I thought he also, I don't know who was killing them, I don't want to confirm, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but he also missed death by a whisker. So what do you mean? He said, right, the fact that he missed death by a whisker, he should have come to act, but he did not. All of a sudden, now he wants in. In Westmore, there's also a fight that has been brought to my attention. And they said, explain it to me in detail. I was explaining that he also has got businesses in South Africa that he feels are now being sabotaged by Kuda Tagwire. So which one is going to win now? Because Kuda has the money. The VP had most of the army, but the army has retracted to neutrality, meaning to say he is now very weakened on his side. And Geza is planning his next step on what to do, where to go, because treason is now being discussed if this move fails. What's your take on this? What's your take on this? That's what has been presented to me. And while there are some people who are still pushing Every side has got its own side. And I was saying yesterday, why were the trucks in Mutare? I never got anybody to say nothing about it. It was just a check in all the border posts to make sure that they are clear of any influence from outside. We've got a very active military, in case you didn't know that. It was just checking to make sure that all what can be counted to be entry points, in case somebody brings in backup, were being cleared and secured, so that the dialogue be dealt with from within Zimbabwe. Our solution is not going to come from outside. Neither is it going to come from South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, or Zambia. Our solution is from within. And now, it gets tough, the tough gets going. But we are moving forward. Continue to subscribe, like, and share, because I bring you more information. I'm going to be having a phone call later on, and I need to reach out to certain people, certain reporters, at the very same time, certain politicians. What I'm known for, what I'm known for a fact, what I speak with one person, I don't share with the next person. And that one, I'm good at. My heart has got a lock. What I discuss, I don't refer to any other person having told me. What I discuss